Analytic leaders have a huge problem, and what's worse is they don't even realize they have a problem. So they're not even looking for an obvious solution because they don't think they even have an issue. Hi, I'm Wendy Lynch. I train analytic translators so that companies can improve their return on analytics. The reality is 70 to 80% of analytic projects don't deliver business value. It's a crazy amount of waste and hassle and rework, and it's unsustainable. So pardon me while I do just a little rant about this. So why is it that analytic leaders don't see what's wrong? I'm going to give you 3 reasons. Number 1, it's not a technical problem. And analytic people think about technical things. If they have the right data sets, I have the right people, I have the right data governance, I have good data quality, then I should be able to produce exactly what the business needs. So you have a technical person who believes that a technical issue is what really matters, but it's not. Reason number 2, analytic leaders speak a very different language than business leaders. That's just how it works. And they take for granted that when a data person speaks to business people, those business people understand exactly what they're talking about, but probably not. They believe that everyone must know how to interpret statistics and what the results mean and how to interpret the numbers and graphs. They believe that all business leaders think the same way they do, and they don't. If they discover that that's not true and that business people don't understand, then they start to implement data literacy. In their minds, we need to get all these illiterate people educated so that they're fluent in data language. So they decide they want to drag all the business people who may or may not be interested in data through a data literacy program. Because if they do that, then they'll be able to deliver business value now because the business people will understand like they do. Well, that's not the answer either. The third reason is that analytic leaders don't realize the true problem because sometimes they just presume that the misunderstanding is unique to their group. They believe that miscommunication between the analytic team and the business team is unique to their organization because maybe Bob and Jane aren't getting along, or Fred and Pam aren't collaborating as well as they should. So they blame it on specific relationships between specific people rather than acknowledging that the problem we're talking about is pervasive, inevitable, and completely predictable. So when people don't realize that there's a problem, they're not going to be looking for the solution that will work because they won't look in the right place. Because if you think the problem has to do with either something technical, or that people aren't literate, or that it's specific individuals rather than there is this underlying expected issue between two groups, then they're not going to be looking for an obvious solution that could be right in front of their faces. Now, I've done thousands of projects and worked with hundreds of people, and I've watched more times than I can count misunderstandings derail analytic work. And it's not because anybody intentionally is trying to make things difficult. It's that nobody knows how to have the right conversations between teams so that we can identify what the real business issue is and what the business really needs to know. Business folks who aren't trained in analytics will use language in ways that make sense to them, but may be totally misinterpreted by an analytic person. That's what happens when you have experts in 2 different fields who speak 2 different languages. So like if you were having important negotiations with someone who speaks a completely different language, would you do that without a translator? Of course not. What we need is an expert translator who understands the language, culture, and priorities of both groups. We need an analytic translator. That's the solution analytic leaders are missing.